Have you ever been walking through the forest or the landscape and all of a sudden started to hear a squirrel just like chattering and hollering at you? You think you're minding your own business and you don't have any harmful thoughts in your mind, but that squirrel just is relentless and won't give up. Well, as long as you've taken the time to look around and make sure that there isn't an actual source of danger that's nearby, like a snake in the tree right behind you, and it actually is you that the squirrel is hollering at, then there are a few things that you can do that will inspire that squirrel to likely quiet down and go back into a more restful state. Because really, the natural world is just mirroring or reflecting what's happening within us. So if the squirrel is chattering at you, likely you are chattering within your mind. So we're going to cover some of those tips in today's practice. I'm Christy from Bird Mentor, where I help people connect more deeply with the birds and wildlife in their areas. This is the Mindful Bird Sit. Let's get started. You all look like you're in a nice cozy place. If you're indoors, just go ahead and crack a window if you can, or at least sit with the vantage point where you can see something of the plant world. We're going to be focusing on the plant world today in various aspects of it. So if you can hear them in terms of the leaves moving, that's great. If you can at least see them, that's the most important. See, and it could be a flower, it could be even a blade of grass. That's sometimes the best one to practice with is a blade of grass or a reed. A tree you can also do, a shrub, anything of the plant world. So as long as you have a good vantage point of something like that, that's a good place to start. So let's begin. We'll do our own sense meditation to start off. So how about we begin with our eyes closed first? If you feel like you're in a safe and comfortable place, let's go ahead and close your eyes and just notice. Don't do anything yet, but just notice yourself. Notice your own body. Where are the areas that are really at ease? And just feeling joyful today, feeling love and soft. And where are the places in your body that might be feeling tension, maybe holding on, maybe some pain or some aches, just exploring and noticing where those are. Very good. Now slowly become aware of your breath. Again, without trying to change anything in this moment, just notice as your breath enters your nose, how it then travels from your nose into your body and where it reaches and touches. And now with intention on your next breath, when you come to the exhale, go ahead and push all the air out. Really pushing, 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 pushing. And then just let your breath fill back into your lungs. And expanding as full as you can, deeply, and then letting it go again, squeezing all the air out. Very good. And then just let the breath come rushing back in, flowing naturally as it does. You can do this a couple more times. And then let your breath follow back into a natural rhythm and noticing now where your breath travels to within your own body. Very good. So now noticing, we'll begin with the sensations on our skin. So as you're still following that nice rhythmic breath, see what kind of sensations occur to you on your skin. When you've connected with and acknowledged one of them, you can shift to another. Just letting yourself absorb and become each one of those sensations. Bringing your awareness now to the soles of your feet. What does it feel like to touch the ground beneath you, or the soles of your shoes, the bottoms of your shoes, which are touching the ground, and then the earth beneath that? Can you feel that connection between yourself and the earth? This great, big, spinning Mama Earth. Good work. And now we're going to shift our awareness over to our ears. And as if there was a spiral slowly moving around us, starting with one ear, maybe on your left, and then rotating behind you over to your right, and just listening for the sounds that are closest to you in that spiral. And slowly, you're going to be expanding further and further and further outward, like that beautiful Fibonacci sequence with the shell, how it gets further and further and further out. And just notice the quality of the sounds that follow and flow into each segment as you spiral around yourself. Some may be loud, some may be quiet. Just check those out for now. Becoming aware and connected to all of your neighbors, the plant, the animal, the insect, the human, just through their sounds, through their voices, and the sounds that they're making right now. And then see how far you can stretch your awareness and your listening right now. Doing a full 360 circle around yourself. What's the furthest you can hear in all directions? Beautiful. So now just really gently open your eyes, welcoming yourself visually to this landscape now, the one you became really familiar with through your sound and your senses. And after gazing around for a moment, acknowledging those who are around in the visual scape, you can go ahead and choose something to focus your attention on and your gaze. Some may choose to an object that's quite far away, others may choose an object that's more near. And once you've found your focal point, slowly start to allow your vision to expand in all directions. If it's easier for you, you can go right and left first. And then from there, you can travel up and down or diagonally, noticing how far you can stretch your vision. And just let your eyes become really soft. Do your best not to fight the urge to focus. Your vision may become blurry, and that's a good thing for the moment. Okay, beautiful. So now what I'd like you to do, or invite you to do, is to find some green one, someone from the plant world that's on your landscape this morning. And remember, a blade of grass is a perfect and sometimes the best object or entity to connect with. But again, a tree is perfect, a flower, anything that you're inspired to connect with this morning. And do your best to find one that's not too far away. It's okay if it's a little distance, but not one that's like miles away. So someone in your more near environment. And so the first thing we want to do when we found that there's a chattering friend near us is to bring our, or I would say like to give and to take back control of our mind. So our mind has got the reins right now, and that's why it's chattering. And so we want to give our belly, or in Chinese medicine they call it the lower dantian, that area of our body wants to be in control. And so let's focus our attention on our lower belly while you're giving your attention to this plant friend. And we'll just bring our breath to our lower belly right now. So when we inhale, we're going to inhale from our lower belly, inhaling deeply and let it go, exhaling fully, always returning back to your lower belly. And you can put your hand, one of your hands, on your lower belly if you want to, as a reminder. Just a reminder of who's in charge right now. And so the fun trick to try is where we really allow ourselves to become the plant that we are looking at. And again, it's a way to focus our mind, to give our mind something to do and not be quite so busy. So we'll begin in the same way that we did with our own selves. And I just want you to first take a moment and be with that plant in whatever way you can. Just taking a moment to get to know it, maybe introducing yourself to it, being really curious about it. What are all the ways it stretches and touches those around it? How deep or shallow are its roots? Just allowing the questions to just come into your mind one at a time as you explore this plant friend. Wondering what its experience is, right? So we'll begin first, as we did, with a felt sense in our skin. So what does it feel like to be that plant right now? What is it feeling as the wind touches it, or the sun, as the water from the earth? And just allow yourself to experience the feeling, the felt sense of this plant. And we'll be silent for the next couple of minutes while you do that. And then once you've connected with the felt sense of your plant friend, you can now shift to the smell. So just imagining if you were this plant. I know plants don't have noses, but just imagine what might this plant smell from its vantage point on your landscape right now. And just let yourself play. The next sensation we can connect with is the sense of taste. So, what might this plant taste? What are some of the flavors that this plant gets to experience? Nice work. So just remembering that this plant is the most important entity right now for you. Just treating it as such, treating it as the most important, valuable member of your environment in this moment. And you're really curious, wanting to know it. So the next sense you can give your attention to is the sounds. So what does this plant hear from its unique vantage point on the landscape? Beautiful. And so now let's explore what this plant sees. So, as if it had eyes, or at least the ability to know what was around it. What does it see from its unique vantage point? And finally, if you want to play along in this way, you can, now that you've connected in all senses with your plant, you can ask the plant if it has anything it wants to say. Is there any voice that might want to convey anything to you in this moment? And you don't have to take it too seriously. Beautiful, everybody. Good work. So take the next moment or two to offer gratitude to this plant in particular and anyone else that you may have come into contact with this morning. You can offer a blessing or gratitude, whatever comes to you. Good work, everybody. All right. Well, as always, thank you to those who came. If you have to head out, it's really wonderful to spend this time with you. And if you'd like to stay along for our chat right now, you're also invited to do so. Sometimes the most sweet and wonderful things arise. So, who would like to kick us off and start with a share of what occurred for you during this sit this morning? Della, would you like to? Yeah, sure, please.
Sure. I had to chuckle because what came to my mind is that the Monterey cypress I was focusing on was it's very tall. It knows everything that's going on in this neighborhood. It can see everything. And the message to me at the end was, there are more birds in your yard than you know about.
That's awesome. And how was that for you to hear?
Oh, it made me laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, they do know, don't they? That's awesome. Thanks, Stella. I love that. Mm, how beautiful. Right on. Who else would like to share? Yeah, Julie or Jackie, please.
Um, so it's actually a snowy day in Santa Fe. There's like a half an inch of snow. And I made sure to put a lot of more bird feeders out. But it doesn't stay very long. And so the plant I was looking at is hollyhock, and it's a bow. I've got some that are still straight up, and with just the seed pods on them. And there's one flower still, and then this one is just arcing over a little fountain. And when I first looked at it, I went, "Oh gosh, it's kind of looking a little scraggly, and it's that time of year." And then as I looked more closely, I saw one of the seed pods had the snow water just hanging below it, and it looked like a moonstone. And then as I looked even, paid more attention, I saw a lot of little ones. And it was like, oh, she's put her necklace on. It was just, it's so pretty, even though, you know, it's also got these dried leaves and stuff like that. And I see there's one about to fall off, and it's like she was saying, yeah, I'm just ready to let go of that. And um, and then I just watched how the arc of it, and how she was just telling me to accept what is.
Mm.
So I'm very grateful for this. Thank you.
Mm. Yeah, Jackie, you're welcome. And I also love that, like, at first glance, we might see this like old dying plant. Ideally, like in some people's gardens, you might prune it, because it doesn't look so pretty anymore. But what I heard is that like the more you got to connect with her and looked closer at her, like you got to see this beautiful necklace that she was wearing and these moonstone gems around her, and it's like the real magic starts to reveal herself the more and more you looked and listened and got to know her. Yeah, how beautiful. And what a beautiful message too, you know.
And I also think it symbolizes um, to me some wisdom in aging, and that I'm I just love that we're all older women,
Mm.
and that I just hear everybody's wisdom that we've gathered through
Yeah.
the years, a lot of it without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just the beauty of that, that so here is this other aging plant, and that's still beautiful, and just having that sense of us and what we consider our beauty shifts, and um, to accept that. So
Yes. Wow. Dang it, Jackie. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Well said. Yeah. Yeah, Julia, please.
Well, yes, thank you, Jackie. I'm thinking about this stage of my life, and I'm wondering what I need now. Before I need assistance, but I've graduated from, you know, some obligations. Um, but something I noticed today for the first time, you may have heard storms and tornadoes in Oklahoma, and so they've moved off east, although I don't think they're quite done. But this morning there are some gaps in the clouds, and right now it's really gray and but there are moments when the clouds will be the sun will peek through, and the quality of the sun, just as it comes out of the gray and before it's really bright daylight, is different. I mean, I've noticed it is so beautiful. And this particular morning, I mean, the air is really clear and the light is just so beautiful, more beautiful than when the sun is totally, you know, shining. It really gets totally bright. I don't know if the plants perceive that or not. They probably do. And I'm sitting here in the dark, the the dark, so to speak. But that was nice to notice this morning. And I'm in the front because there's still uh more breeze than is comfortable to sit in the back of my house, and so this is sheltered. And here I hear robins and squirrels. In the back it's totally different. It's a different neighborhood, you know, which is kind of fun to notice too.
Yeah, I love that. Totally. A different neighborhood for sure. Like all these little micro habitats and climates. And I was thinking, this is the second time I've sort of meditated with this. I don't call it a blade of grass, but it's like a clump of grass, I suppose. It's a taller one. I don't know what kind of grass it is, but it's like, she's got like this, maybe one main stalk and a bunch of little grass leaflets, like glass leaf, is that right? They're just like hanging off of her anyway. She's not really like just so flowy and but she's like down in this crack, this crevice of there's like a stone patio out here, and then there's a big it's the big HVAC unit, but there's a wooden platform that it's up on, and she's just coming out from underneath the platform, and she's just like stuck in this little crevice, and each time, like the last couple of times we've done plants, I've been drawn to her in particular, and it's really profound, what happens with just this one beautiful grass. And I forget where I was going with that, but it was something about what you were saying. I got all lost again in her and the experience that like this grass was having. But oh, the different environments, and I was thinking about her environment and her world, and like what this plant sees and experiences, and some of the details that this plant notices versus like, the trees who have this grand vantage point, and get to see so much, but maybe not the little details that are going on here in the soil, and how she knows how to come up through the cracks and crevices, in this really special, magical way. And actually, there is a little, I didn't notice that beforehand, but there's a little pine tree that's growing up. It still looks like, like a little pine, just pine needles. Like it's so little, it's just like one stalk and a bunch of little pine needles sticking out. But she's actually taller than the pine tree right now, which is really awesome. Um, yeah, I have a question for all of you after, but I'm curious if anyone else wanted to share their experience from this morning. Yeah, Linda and then Anne, please.
Okay. I tried to choose just one tree for my plant, but there's 3 aspen right out here and a maple tree, and they all volunteered. So I took them all. I just had to. And it was I really loved that part. I thought about, I remember in the past meditation that you've done with us, the whole idea of reciprocity, where you breathe out your gifts and nature breathes out their gifts to you. And so I felt that. I felt like I was breathing out gifts for the trees that I had here, and they were breathing out something for me. And I just felt this sense of these trees are just full of birds in the spring and summer and early fall. And it's so quiet today because we've got a snowstorm coming. So I'm sure the barometric pressure is like telling the other birds, the winter birds, that take cover. But they said they really would like me to put up the bird feeders again so more birds come. But that could be a projection on my own mind, because I was thinking, oh, I didn't get my bird feeders out. But anyway, it just felt very, very comforting, reassuring, fun. And I thought when you were talking about grounding, I'm not familiar at all with Chinese medicine, but I am familiar with chakras from my yoga training. And so I always think of the chakra number 1, which is at the base of the spine, the root, grounding. And trees ground themselves. I mean, they have all those roots. So I've often felt, when I feel totally like I'm spinning off into spaces, I can do sometimes, up in my head and worried and overexcited or whatever. Being with trees has always calmed me down. And now I think I make the connection between tree roots grounding and me grounding. So the whole concept of earthing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that came to me today too. So it was very, very cool. I was all over the map, but I really experienced a lot, and thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah, high five. Well done on that one, Linda. That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. There is that connection with I know the yogic practices, with the first chakra. And I think that's where, I think in Kundalini yoga, it's like where the snake, starts to spiral up from. It's like your life force, your energy force is based in that part of your body. And yeah, if we can, well, I won't say too much more. I will say that after we hear from Anne. So thank you, Linda, for
You.
sharing what occurred to you. Yeah, go for it, Anne.
Well, I started out deep and thoughtful like you guys all did. And my plant came from a seed given by a friend, and it's got a little bloom. And then you talked about what it sees and feels. And I realized that's the plant that the dog lifts his leg on when it comes out the bat. So you're going, what do you think the dog feels? I think it feels wet. What is the dog seeing? And I'm thinking, oh no, don't go there. So I decided I'm just going to spend the rest of my day finding humor in every little thing, look for the fun in the dryer lint, but that it was just because I kept coming back to where that, and I thought, no, go back to your friend Debbie, and she gave you these seeds and they come up every year. And I'm thinking, no, it was funny. So
I love that. I love the joy came out of all of it,
Yeah, but it's like, what is the plant feeling? Well, it feels wet. What is the plant seeing? Oh, no.
The underside of my dog.
I'm laughing. I'm crying. I'm just, I can't.
I love this because any time I got a chance to spend time with a native elder, like they always had this incredible ability um to blend the sacred and the holy with the profane, and it's just like, yeah,
It's
we can be all holy about this, and whatever, but there is the profane, there's the ridiculous, and it's like blending those two together is a beautiful thing, not getting too holy in our thoughts about the world, just remembering that there is that laughter and like the dog is peeing on this like sacred, beautiful plant of yours,
fertilizer
Yeah,
is not pretty.
yeah, yeah, right? Compost can smell sometimes,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's crawly bugs, and yeah. So, so today is going to be Humor Monday.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. It's a good reminder for us all. Um, so anyone else before? Yeah, Julia, go for it.
I was going to say, whatever is holy is what we make holy.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, right on. Right on. Awesome. So, what I wanted to bring us back to was the question. I don't know if I posed it as a question in the beginning, but just the story from the beginning and just remembering why we were doing this. One is to have that beautiful sacred connection with the earth, but two is to help us move out of our thinking brains, right? So, when we're walking in the forest or somewhere and we realize that we're actually not as quiet in our minds as we thought we were, and we have that reflected by, let's say, a wren or a squirrel or a chipmunks are often great at reflecting that. It doesn't take much for them to get upset. Then one thing you can do is really shift your attention over to the plant world is the easiest to do it with. One, because generally in most places there's going to be something growing, whether it's the grass or a tree or whatever, a cactus, So giving your attention over to the plant world and then just allowing yourself to absorb, to forget about the birds, forget about like why you went out there to be all holy and, have the sacred connection, and just like give yourself over to that plant and the experience that that plant is having in the world. And soon what you'll find in almost no time, that barking squirrel or the chattering wren will be quiet because you're no longer sending all of your chatter out into the world. And instead, you're just quietly giving your attention to something else. And then they'll feel safe with you in that way, And I think I've told you all this story before, but in case I haven't done it in a while, or maybe some of you haven't heard it at all, many, many years ago when I was studying herbalism, was one of the first plants I learned, and it was nettle, stinging nettle. And I was so excited at that time to finally be able to learn with these mentors who were just incredible women. And I'd been wanting to learn about plant medicine for a long time. And so the first one they taught us about was nettle. And I was living in Washington State, and stinging nettle is like everywhere up there, And I went in my backyard, and I didn't expect to, but I was just kind of wandering out there. I was living on this, it's like an old farm. It was no longer a farm, but the old barn was still up there. And it was actually like the last remaining house and land within this big development that was soon to be developed, but it was still like the last little bit remaining. Anyway, and so I was out on the land and I walked inside this paddock and I looked down and like the whole little paddock was full of nettle. I was like, oh my gosh, there's nettle right on my land. And so I got down and I was just like looking at it and trying to learn from it. And because they had us draw them and do all sorts of cool things. And I think I even started harvesting them. I was like, I had a little bag with me and I was harvesting them, but I was so absorbed in the nettle that I didn't even realize that there was a mama deer and her young foal that had come into that paddock and were grazing, not just like 10 feet from me. And it was like that moment that I like look up and I'm like, whoa, a deer, and she's like, wow, a human, even though we had all been like harmoniously, interacting, or not even interacting, but just sharing space, because I know that because my mind was with the plant, my mind was just really at ease and very calm and very connected to what I was doing. But as soon as I got out of there and I was like, blah, 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 like, there's a deer, this is amazing, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And the deer was like, geez, there's a human right there, and then she quickly took her young one and, did that like, that they do with they make that sound, and she got scared away. And I was like, dang it, darn. but it was a great, wonderful lesson for me that, you know, because like in order for her to get to where I was, she had to come in and enter, you know. It wasn't an easy thing to do. It wasn't just like she was passing by and could have ignored me. Like, I know that she must have seen me, you know, but I wasn't, I wasn't sort of who I was when my brain was attached, you know. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you all today, and just that practice, because inevitably it happens, you know, when you get that chattering whoever to remind you of how chattery you are. So yeah. So thanks for playing, and thanks for all these beautiful, deep shares today. And I'm going to carry all of them with me throughout my day as I go today, and remembering the joy and the laughter and that reciprocity that you were sharing, Linda. Yeah, and the beautiful jewels, Jackie, like all of it. It's just really lovely. So thank you so much. And that big perspective, Della. I love all of it. So thank you, everybody. And I hope you have a beautiful week. Again, I'm trying to think going ahead. We don't have any holiday. There will be holidays coming up. Let me just do a quick check of the calendar just to see if we can give anybody a heads up. So it's going to be Veterans Day is the 11th. We'll still do it then. Then, okay, so we're not going to be Thanksgiving. Okay, it's not until it's on Thursday. So we're good. The only one that we are not going to have, I think it's actually going to be 2 in a row, in fact, because I'll be at the winter birding retreat from the 2nd to the 9th of December. And so we won't have a bird sit on the first 2 Mondays of December. But everything in November, we're good to go. Okay? All right, everybody. So good to see you all. Have a really beautiful rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Much love.